Hey, what's up, stars? It's me, Shorter Star, and I'm back. Listen, I love you guys. Actually, I missed you guys, and I feel good today. It's been a busy day, but it's a good day. And right now, I'm just drinking some lemon water. To be really honest with you, um, I've been looking at my skin for the last couple of days, and because it's gotten really cold, I'm really dry. And here in this house, my spout Leighton swears by shea butter and coconut oil. Now he uses different things, but if you really know Leighton, he's a beautiful man, and look at his skin and everything. So that's why that's why he looks the way he looks for his age, really. However, it has to be a certain type of shea butter. It has to have a certain type of consistency. He likes chunks of shea butter, so it's more in a natural form for him. Then he likes coconut oil, but it's a particular coconut oil that isn't this greasy. I don't know. However, I'm not quite into it. And of course, he's always, hey, I do this, put this on, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, so I'm right now looking for a really good lotion for the winter. I don't know if anybody know anything, especially if it's something good for diabetics, if that's possible. And I say that if you know, you know. I say that because some of us have to prick our fingers to do testing, right? And I have the thing in my arm, but when it's not acting right or I don't believe its numbers, okay, um, I have to do the prick and test my own blood. And your fingertips get so dry and they start to get a little hard. They do. They start to get a little hard at the tips. And so you try to use a different finger whenever you do it. However, anybody know any good products, some good lotion that a black man could use, and let me know. But my Leighton's gonna kill me because he's gonna be like, it's nothing better than shea butter and coconut oil. Okay. However, um, long story short, I was out today handling some business and I was in a business type of frame of office, right? And I heard these two younger girls, professional girls. When I say girls, I mean in their early 20s, young ladies, and they were talking. And one of them was telling another one that another friend of theirs had went and she went no contact with her. I don't know if it was her parents or her entire family, but however, they were talking about that, and they're sitting in front of me, and waiting to be called, and um, they were talking about it, and I did it. I actually typed it in on my phone, and it's like mad videos, look, mad people talking about it. This is some new trend, if that's what you want to call it, and child, this young generation, they are going, it's called going no contact with your family, a certain family member, or the whole entire family, or one parent, or both parent is going no contact, meaning you make an agreement with them that you're letting them know you're no longer contacting them. They're no longer in your life. You don't want them to contact you. You don't want any emails. You don't want any texts. You don't call. Don't text me to say happy birthday, Merry Christmas. I want no contact. And they're doing this. And I heard this one young lady that I watched the video after hearing about it. She was like 24 years old. And I thought, like, wow, 24, it may not be the time that you need your parents the most. That would be younger when you're more dependent on them for whatever. But I think that when you're like 24, you're just getting into your career after college. You'll be in your first own real spot, or maybe even purchased a home. So you would want some advice from your parents that had already done those things, or just to share it with them. Even if you're the first person in your family to actually own a home, you would want to share that with someone, because this generation is making more money than our generation made, point blank, period. There's more millionaires than ever. And you mean under 20 at that. So we did well, but this generation is killing it, like really. And if we don't, do other things and get into other things and work harder together, we can easily be lost in the source. And I don't plan that. Okay. Okay. So like I said, I did a little research, and there's, like I said, a trend, if that's what you want to call it, where people are going no contact with their parents, sometimes their entire family. Um, I think it's something that we need to talk about because it's going on and it is around the holidays. The Thanksgiving we just had. Now we're going to have Christmas. Then we're going to have New Year's. These are times when we normally spend time with our family members, at least, So I want to talk about it. Well, like I said, I did some research and I found out that like I said, Oprah did something on. She has a podcast now. The Oprah Winfrey Show is off, but she has a podcast now that, of course, millions and billions of people watch. And she actually did a show on this, and I thought it was interesting. People look. No family is perfect. We all have some type of issues, and it is always something. Some worse than others. Um, it is what it is. You may have the family that act like everything is perfect and sweep everything under the rug, and that's going to explode sooner or later because everybody's going to get tired of being fake and not talking about whatever the real issues are. And I had to, like I said to you guys, weeks back in September, I had went to a family's wedding and I reconnected with my twin sisters, and I had to straight up apologize to them when I saw them. Like when we were having a conversation at the wedding, I actually I know that I could have been a better, bigger brother to them, but because there's such a big age gap, when they came along, I was doing it and doing it and doing it. You know what I mean? I was doing it. So now, that of course built up walls, and and right now we're working through that, and I'm loving it, and we're having a great time at it. However, um, every no family is perfect, and every family is going to have some type of issues. And let's get into this. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Excuse me. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so like I said, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's like, this is like a thing now, and I wanted to bring it to you. Okay, let's go here.
A friend of mine called me recently, distraught over the fact that her grown daughter, whom she thought she had a really great relationship with and had recently just gone to dinner with, sent her a message saying, "I'm no longer going to be in contact with you. Please do not try to reach me." She thought something had happened to her child, that perhaps she'd been kidnapped, and realized shortly after sending authorities to see if her daughter was okay that it was true that her daughter no longer wanted to have contact with her. And she was asking me if I knew about this trend in the country. And I said, I'd read something about it, but now I've looked into it, not only looked into it, but actually did a podcast with 3 experts on this phenomenon we're experiencing in the country of no contact, especially around the holiday season. So if this has happened to you or someone you know, or you're interested in knowing about it, watch the Oprah podcast. A friend of mine.
Well, so like I said, guys, I mean, this is really happening. And I think that it's so different for some of us of a certain age to even think about some of the stuff. Some of us, we don't even give it a second thought. We just call it stupid and look over it. But however, this is the generation, and this is how this generation is running. And this is how they are. They're very socially awkward in person. They're used to doing everything over social media. Um, we had to actually go out and meet people. We actually went out to clubs and parties and different places to meet people. They meet people online. It's just different. And these are who are these are who will be in charge of the world when we're older and maybe not so far away. So again, I've been hearing more and more about it. I just think that, like, if we go back to my video on November 19th, Family Matters, and I got a lot of really good responses and people questions and stuff like that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it was off the beaten path of me really telling you different stories. And when I tell y'all, listen, I got so many stories to tell y'all. Y'all will not believe. I mean, some of it I had to just get rid of it because they were old. And I don't like telling you old stuff, not unless it's something that happened and is now being finalized. If a year or two later, then we have to go through it. But however, I don't like bringing you old stuff. Um, So with that said, I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. What have you heard of it? I just think that the new generation doesn't look at life the way that we did. I don't think they value life the way that we did. And this is just me. This is what I think. Um, I don't think they value life the way that we did. I think they play everything through video games and social media, and everything is built up, microwavable, which means really fast, and then disposable, as if you're trash. Like there's no value in friendships and things anymore. You speak to people and they're hanging around each other and they're connecting in a certain manner. You can tell that they've been around each other for a little while, but they put their feet on the gas with a friendship because you'll say, how long have y'all been friends? Because they're swearing, oh, this is my best friend. And they haven't really experienced nothing with this person. They'll spend Thanksgiving, Christmas, and maybe a birthday and maybe a trip to Miami with this person. And now they're his best friend. They don't know nothing about this person really. And they're putting all their faith in everything. Oh, this is my best friend. And you ask them how long they've been friends. Oh, we've been friends for like 3 years. 3? Wait a minute, did this child just say 3 years? I was like, listen, when you get some friends and your friends at that 10-year mark, and you blessed to get to that 20-year mark, and Lord knows if you can make it to that 30-year mark, which I have with quite a few of my friends. Wow. I'm like 3 years. So you've known her for 3 Christmases and 3 Thanksgivings, 3 birthdays, 2 trips to Miami. You might have went to Greece once. Like, you don't know this person. Okay, so like I said, this is something that's really, really going on, and it's happening, people. And is it good? Is the question. Is it good? You tell me.
That's so crazy because that really is a thing, like choosing whether you want to follow that path or not. For me, I decided that I was going to go the opposite route and break some of these generational curses. Like, I hate to say that word because I know it's such a buzzword right now, but it really is a thing. We have been operating in dysfunction for generations, like literally 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So I decided that I was going to make a conscious effort to not do that. And I told my mom, like, hey, this is what I'm choosing to do. I'm choosing to go no contact with certain individuals. If you want to do that, cool. If not, I'm just letting you know this is my choice.
Yeah.
And she fully supported it. She even agreed, like, I'm going no contact with somebody.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was surprised because, a lot of people, our parents and those older generations, they don't do that.
Yeah.
They believe in respect. You take it on the chin. This is your aunt, your uncle, whoever. But no, she was very fed up as well and said, I'm not doing the whole let's brush it under the rug. So yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. You have to say, you know what? Listen, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but what I'm saying is a lot of times that our family traumas and things are going on, actually, like I said before in my other video, has nothing to actually do with us. It's things that are passed down through family members. My mother didn't get along with your mother and their sisters, so it's passed down. And that can go to the uncles too. My dad may not have had a great relationship with his sister or his brother. And those are the sides of the family that they don't really care for each other, so we don't see them very often. But again, when you ask people why you're not talking, what is the real problem? Most of the time, it's either something that is so old and stupid that it shouldn't even matter at this point. Even if we're gonna, and this is a no-no, but even if a sister took a boy that another sister liked, we're talking about when you're 12 or 13 or 14. Okay, we're not talking about 18, 20, 25. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about 10, 12, 14. You still mad? Johnny grew up to be nothing anyway. He was a loser. So she actually saved you, girl. Like really? That's what you're arguing about? And then sometimes siblings just don't get along, and you have to accept that too. And one or both siblings can decide to just Take their space. It's healthier for them to be this way. They love you from a distance. You love them from a distance, and it's fine. There's no real love lost, but really it is. I have somebody very special in my life, and they're going through something with a few family members from their family, and it's very hurtful. It's very, very hurtful. What it does to it lets you know that how lucky and blessed you are sometimes, because some of these things you can have no control over, meaning someone does something so crazy to you that you have no choice but to cut them off, or you feel like you have no other choice but to cut them off at that moment. But my grandmother always said, Mother McCullen always said, you have to meet people where they are. And if you're willing to accept them wherever they are at that time, then fine. But if there's at a place that makes you uncomfortable and it's not where you want to be, then you have to let that go. But I just find things to be so disposable with the generation. They just don't see things, and they will. That's the bad part. Anybody younger than me, anybody that has not experienced the loss of losing parents or a parent and their grandparents, you know that no matter how old you get, it stays with you. You long for them, especially around these times of the year, holidays. These are the times when you know your grandmother would be throwing down, your mom may be throwing down. Your dad might be putting up the tree, and it was just something that you guys did. Your granddad might have been smoking his pipe, and you were just so happy to see him. And they're no longer around. And this thing of going no contact with your parents and your family, I'm sorry to say. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be times and there are reasons where people will want to be no contact. If there's abuse and certain things, then that's something different. Then you do what you do. But a lot of times, like I said, a lot of our stuff is generational and it's really worthless. And it has nothing to actually do with me or the last two generations of kids that came through the family. But because their moms or their dads didn't like each other, it just went on and on and on and on. You know what I mean? So, it's definitely something to think about. I think it's a great topic. I think that if you like this video, please share this video with other people. It really can get you to talking. You would really be surprised. One more thing, I'm going to have you listen to and let me know. Okay? Okay.
Please stop trying to make people feel bad for not having a good relationship with their parents. There's a reason why we cut them off. I love my mom and I can understand her hurt. However, she hurt me too. I look exactly like my mom, so this hurts even more that I don't talk to her because I wish I had a relationship with her. The reason I'm bringing this up because every time I tell someone that I don't talk to my mom, they try to make it seem like that's your mom, that's your parent, she's supposed to be in your life. They make up these excuses for my mom, although they don't know her. I would love to have her in my life, but unfortunately she's toxic. And when I'm around her, I'm always crying, and I don't deserve that. I stopped seeing my mom as my mom and started to see her as a person. And ever since then, I realized that I don't even be around these type of people. Why am I allowing my mom to do that to me? I think about her often. I pray for her still. But it's okay that I don't have a relationship with her. Please.
And now, what's really sad about this is, honestly, is that this young lady that we just was watching, she looks like she's in her low 20s, like maybe anywhere between 22 to 25. And you would think that would be the time that you really want your parents and family and need that, but to go like all I can go by is what she said. She said her mom hurt her and she also hurt her mom. And we don't know what that is. But listen, as I was researching, right, I came up with these are my generation talking about this generation and what's going on of this cutting off toxic parents and cutting, just crazy. Like no contact. Okay. One person said, this generation wouldn't know trauma if it smacked them upside the head. And I kind of agree, but a trauma is trauma. However, look, we was chastised in my day and age and older. We would chastise. And during that chastising, some of us would agree that it helped us, it made us better people, or it was the complete opposite. And I do believe that now that we talk and think about it, there was a thin line between chastising your child and straight up beating them, you know? So it was actually a real trauma. But some of us, most of us made it through. It was what it was. I'm not saying that it didn't affect us in that manner. It didn't affect us in any way because some of us, I know people that I grew up with that went through certain things and some bit worse than others, right? And they didn't hit their kids or chastise them in that manner. That's when the timeouts and all of that stuff started. Now, some of them ended up not being crap because the timeout that every like I totally believe that every individual and every child is different. So what works for one child may not work for the other. We're all individuals. Okay, so the second thing was these days, it seemed people want to refer to anything that is even remotely unpleasant as trauma. And that's what I'm saying, like real trauma. But I don't want to say that whatever these young people consider trauma not to be trauma. I just think that the trauma word is thrown around so much, you know what I mean? Because I think that like this person said, anything that's unpleasant, slightly unpleasant is a trauma. No, something you're just not gonna like. And the thing is, those of us of a certain age, we've done plenty of things in our life that we didn't like. We worked for people we didn't like. We worked at jobs that treated us like crap that we didn't like, but it was what we did and it's who it made us to be. And with you guys, everything is so microwavable, so fast. You know, you want to be vice president of a company the first 2 years you work for it. Like, relax. You know, everything is so disposable. And with things being disposable, where's the worth? People don't see the value in people. And I've said that before. Okay, so the next and last one would be evidently the younger community doesn't understand it's part of the 10 Commandments to honor your mother and your father. Okay. I came from a very religious background, and most of you guys know that. And yeah, that was, of course. However, like I said, honoring them, how can I say this way? It doesn't sound crazy, but honoring your parents and letting your parents or whomever do anything to you. And when I say anything, I mean anything. That's a thin line. That's crazy. We've had parents that was abusive to their kids. You've had parents that would abuse their kids, essay their own kids, things like that. So when you go through certain things, look, traumas are traumas, and we all have something. Okay. But I don't know. I think it's crazy that this young generation and what's going on now, that they're straight up having no contact with their parents and no contact with their family. And they'll rather do that than to sometimes to sit down and work things out. Because what I'm finding out that a lot of things that we're mad about and not getting along about is pretty petty. It's not anything, like I said, most of the time it has nothing to actually do with us. It's something that was passed down from my mom or our dad, or, you know, this cousin did something to my sister when they was 15 and it's just going on. And now my kids don't like her kids. It's like, what? So this is the reality that we live in, but this no contact. Listen, if it works for you, by all means, do what you need to do. But I just think that it seems to be very disposable. Things and people seem to be very disposable these days. Friendships, you know, I like I said, I heard two young ladies talking about friendships, and you know, and then you think, you know, you ask these people, how long have y'all been friends? And they're like, oh, that's my best friend. We've been friends for 3 years. You like 3 years? I'm like, girl, I got friends. You 10 years, you meet that 10-year mark, it's special. When you meet that 20-year mark, you feel like no one else is doing it. Then you do the 30-year mark, which I have quite a few friends that I've been friends with for over 30 years. And I don't know. I'm like, girl, I can't. So like I said, when you get to certain things, everything is so disposable. So that means you've known her for 3 years. So you've spent a Christmas or two with them. You've been around her for a birthday or two. You've done a trip to Miami and maybe a trip to Greece. And this is your best friend who you would turn your life over. You would trust them with your life. You would trust them with any and everything. You're crazy. Like I said, a lot of this young generation, everything is so social media. They're awkward in social environments. Everything is done over the phone. They talking and allegedly are friends with people they've never even met. And you're like, how long have you been talking to them? Oh, for about 4 years. And in 4 years, nobody ever thought about actually meeting and sitting down and talking and getting to know you as a real person, but that's not important to them. This is fine. It's disposable. If they get on my nerves, they say one thing I don't like, they do something I don't like, I can cut them off and it means nothing. And that's not how we work. However, guys, I love you. I want you to be intentional, stay intentional, and please let me know, comment, let me know what you think about this new disposable, just like, no contact with your family and your parents. It's crazy. Some of you guys are going to be really sorry at the end of the day if you guys just do this because it's trendy and it's easy. And right now you don't need your family, or right now you feel you don't need your parents. So you're like, you know what? It's a new thing. I'm just going to cut you off, mom and dad. And you're going to be really, really sorry later on that you wasted this time. Like I said, again, if it's something that it is what it is what it is. But if it's not, come on, people. Let's. We already got another 3 years to go. Okay. Times are gonna be tough enough, and if you can have some family members around you and some family members for support, and they can have you for support, think about it. I love you guys. Until next time, have a great, great, great day. Love you guys.